City, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes, and back then we only ate what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads, and out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Live Oak.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geeks. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, title town license winners. Pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Moonshine and whiskey.
Some folks really don't understand how important it is to never forget where you came from. You know, when I say Lowndes County, man, I mean Lowndes County.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
What's up, Lowndes County? Welcome to our Thursday night get-together on the Viking Nation Live. Welcome to our little soiree into everything Lowndes, and really a celebration of our community and our team. Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. Before we get cranked up, full force tonight, turn on the throttle. Hurricane is over. I hope you got your storm debris cleaned up. Mine's not quite cleaned up yet. As a matter of fact, it's been a daggone busy week doing that stuff. But we are over this hurricane. We're moving straight, full speed ahead. So here's the quote of the day. And I think this is being delivered right in the nick of time. Here it is. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. So let that sit in your soul all weekend. Let it stew and marinate, and you got to decide where you are. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan. So anyway, hope you get a chance to think about that little quote. Comes from the book of Proverbs over the weekend. So let's go ahead and get on with our football talk. It was great. This past weekend, it was 8th grade band night. Wasn't it refreshing to be able to see a Friday night football game once again? Wouldn't it? It was great. Now, speaking of Friday night footballs and the Viking Nation, let me go ahead and thank our sponsors before we bring one of our super fans onto the screen, Chase Garnto. I want to thank our title sponsor of the year, Pepsi of Valdosta. Thank you so much, guys, for producing what you produce, because I have been drinking it all week. As a matter of fact, I was in Atlanta for several days this week, rushed back this afternoon. But you know what? On the way back, Chase, I had to stop at Buc-ee's. Stop at Buc-ee's, do a quick fill up, get a couple of sliced brisket sandwiches. I don't know if you guys like sliced brisket, chipped brisket, pulled pork, sliced pork, whatever. I don't care what it is. I'm just going to stop at Buc-ee's every single time, even though I'm in a hurry. But I don't even know why I got on that rant, other than to say I did get a fill up of Diet Mountain Dew, and I'm thankful for that. So thank you so much to the Pepsi of Valdosta guys for being our title sponsor for the year. Thank you to Kyle Conger at White Oak Investment. Thank you, Kyle, for all that you do, for giving me the advice that you give me, because in a time when my mind is going 90 to nothing, I can't concentrate on the stock market, whatever. And Kyle is there like he did this week. He called me and said, listen, the market's going to go up and down. We just want to check in with you, make sure we're good. So if you just need a guy or a gal that's in the financial world that kind of sets you at ease, answers your questions, gives you some pretty good advice, Kyle Conger can be that guy if you need him to. He owns a company called White Oak Investment. You can reach out to him at 229-850-8848. Give Kyle a call. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show and sponsoring our White Oak Investment comment line. Speaking of the comment line, if you would like to enter for your chance to win this week's drawing, we're giving away a couple of more t-shirts, right? So go ahead and enter on the screen right now in the comments, #OneLounge. Just like, man, there's my button right there. That's all you got to enter in right now. #OneLounge, all one word. No spaces, no nothing. Go ahead and get that entered. So thank you so much to Kyle Conger for sponsoring our White Oak Investment comment line. Thank you to Tim Neesmith, our very own stick man, for doing what he does. And what he does it very well. And that's customized shades and blinds. He makes your house beautiful. If you need that service, if you need that product, A Shade of Perfection by Tim Neesmith. You can reach him at 229-251-3479 or on his website at ashadeofperfection.com. Thank you so much to these guys, the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. You know, they've also started sponsoring our, Chase, what do you call that? Our scoring update on Friday night, brought to you by the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. So thank you to these guys, Josh Batch and Justin Haskin. They are your certified headache medicine specialists. They offer a variety of migraine and back pain treatments. Thank you so much to these guys. Now, one of the things that, you know, here it is, 7:00 on a Thursday night. Chase, I know I'm talking to you. Let me go ahead and bring you on the screen. You know, it's 7:00. We're on the show already. You know who texted me like 10 minutes before the show started? Chandler Kudik with AquaWorks Pool and AquaWorks Pool Company. He says, hey, do you mind before I end my day, if I could come out and clean your pool, one last pool before I go home? It's 7:00 at night and the guy is still working hard, right? Just trying to get all these pools clean, make them beautiful so you can enjoy them for the rest of your summer. So anyway, if you have a need for that service, give Chandler a call at AquaWorks Pool Company, 229-415-0752. And then finally to these guys, Trey Hatcher and Tony Green at Imperial Auto Sales. They've got two fantastic locations to meet all your automotive needs. One is on Ashley Street. One is on Bay Tree Road. That's Imperial Auto Sales. You can get them on your website, imperialautosales.com. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors out there. Chase, welcome to the show, man.
It's a good week. Lowndes is 3-0. My Knowles are 2-0 and ranked in the top 5 for the first time. And we ain't even going to discuss how long.
Listen, I need you to say that first part about Lowndes being 3-0 for the people in the back that keep criticizing this team. You know who you are. You've been calling me all weekend, all week, criticize. Now, most of you have been great. We think we got a great team. You're talking about how great the team is, but some of you knuckleheads, you know who you are. You've been calling me this week and criticizing. So say it once again for the people in the back, Chase. How's Lowndes doing?
Lowndes is 3-0.
3-0. And some of you guys need to put a smile on your face, turn that frown upside down, and let's celebrate our team. There might be rocky roads and tough times ahead, but right now we're 3-0, baby. That's it. We're undefeated.
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced.
They're learning the third new system in 3 years?
Absolutely. You know, sometimes people forget that. So
and again, this is their third system in 3 years. They're not paid to play football. They're still students first.
Yeah.
So they got homework and all their school requirements and family time and, all their social interactions with friends and everything like that. So keep that in mind. They enjoy playing football, and they play football for the team and the community and everything like that. So, keep in mind, these are not paid athletes, guys.
Absolutely. But one thing, it was great to see them play underneath Friday Night Lights again. It was great to not have to worry about a thunderstorm.
For it not to be 9,000 degrees in the Inferno 5,000.
Yeah, it felt kind of good out there. But one thing that I did notice that it didn't matter if it was first down, fourth down, offense, defense, special teams. These kids were going all out. I snapped a shot to kind of illustrate the effort that these boys were putting in. And this is our very own Marlon Evans. I mean, this play actually resulted in a completion for Rock Creek, and they took it down all the way down to like the 3, 4, 5 yard line, something like that. But the effort that this kid put in, I mean, it was a fluke. I mean, he stretched out for it, tipped the ball into the air. The receiver made a fantastic recovery, and the ball just basically fell into his lap. And so he was able to take it down the field, run out of bounds at inside the 5 yard line. But I just wanted to highlight the effort that these kids are putting in and week out. That's something to be proud of, Chase.
100% agree. And here's the thing: for those of you who go, well, he's listen, MJ ain't going to drop, but maybe one of those a year. So give him credit, because he played wide receiver for us for a while, a few years back when we were struggling to find some slot guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. These guys are laying out. They're flying around the football. They're hitting like they should. And granted, now they come out a little flat. They play like my Seminoles at first. I'll be the first one to admit that. But when they get rolling and they decide to put their foot on the gas, they don't take it off. So
absolutely. Listen, straight out of the chute. Let me go ahead and address Prashawn Pry. Sean, listen, I'm going to put this comment on the screen. He says, "What's up with the nutrition program? The boys are getting smaller every year." Sean, come on. Just between me and you. Are you out of your mind?
Hold up. Let me say this. If you think the guys are getting smaller, go back on the Viking Nation Facebook page to pictures of Smoke Fleming from a year ago.
Yeah.
And look at Smoke Fleming now. That's just one example I could show you of a kid that's put on more muscle in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lot thicker and looks a lot healthier than he did last year.
Yeah. Now he might be addressing, listen, he follows up with, yes, some of them got bigger, but a lot are still small. It's not just Lowndes, but Valdosta and Colquitt as well. Well, we can't address Valdosta and Colquitt, but what I can say is, sometimes our kids are shorter than others. Like some DBs are shorter than others, that kind of stuff. Those are things that you're just born with. That's genetics, right? If they're great athletes, they're great athletes, no matter how tall they are. We're just talking about the nutrition program that gets them thick. And if you take a look at each player on that field, they are thicker this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm hoping that's just an oversight. Maybe you just looked at one guy. I'm not sure, but as a whole, the team is definitely bigger than they were last year. If you don't believe me, just go up to the weight room. You'll be able to see.
And here's another thing, and I can tell you this. I can tell you that since Carter has come in, I can tell you that Coach Wisham and him have gotten together and they've retooled a lot of how Lowndes football as a whole is approaching nutrition and strength and conditioning training. And they've tripled it all the way down into the middle schools. So, you know, as time progresses, you're going to see a change. And I mean, that shows, to me, that shows Carter's level of dedication to this program.
That's right. All right, so there's one other play here that I wanted to highlight. And speaking of, I saw one comment talk about Aiden Sifa looks bigger, looks thicker this year. I think Candace Marie says Sifa has put on some muscle. Now, speaking of Aiden Sifa, he had a tremendous, electrifying catch after a Marvis Parrish roll, scramble for his life, roll out to the right, chunks it down the field. Sifa's hands of gold reach into the heavens, pulls down the ball and races to the end zone. So we've got the footage right here exclusively on the Viking Nation, courtesy of Aiden Sifa's parents. So check this out. Harris rolls out to the right. They've got him cornered. He throws it downfield. And there's the hands of gold reaching to the heavens from Aiden Sifa. Takes it to the end zone. And, of course, has the secret handshake that he's got with Mr. Waffle House himself, Jalen Carter.
Yep.
Man, how cool was that? How cool was that?
Look, I had a front row ticket for that one. I was standing right there. And when I tell you, if he's a half an inch more to the left, he's out of bounds. I mean, literally, he had no room to play with. And I couldn't think of a player who needed and deserved that more than him. He needed that confidence boost, and I watched that kid put in work for years, and it's amazing to see it finally pay off.
Absolutely, man.
And he was my vote. He was my vote and my recommendation to Chris Beckham for his show for the best catch Friday night. I
got you. What'd you call him to the show afterwards?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, I got you, man. I got you representing the Viking Nation. That's awesome. All right, so this past Friday, we also had 8th grade band night. That's always a big deal because we look forward to seeing this year's 8th graders next year as part of the Georgia Bridgman. So speaking of the Georgia Bridgman, Friday night, Chase, we celebrated the 45th anniversary of the Georgia Bridgman. What'd you think about that?
Man, look, that is the best band in the land. I'm sorry, it just is. It hands down. I'm sorry if you feel like if you're from wherever you feel like you got the best band in the land, come see about us. We'll show you something. I mean, look, and if you don't think we got the best band in the land, go ahead, mess with the Bridgman if you want to. You're gonna have about 7,000 people on at your neck, just as loud as they can get inside the concrete pallets.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk about. So we talked about the Georgia Bridgman. So I want to talk about the game itself. So, what were your first impressions? First half of play against Rock Creek.
Offensively, we struggled. We were struggling to get momentum. We were struggling to kind of. At first, we were struggling to. We just were making a bunch of mental mistakes. More than anything, it was more mental mistakes than from what I could see. I think they marched down the field on us and scored that early touchdown, kind of shocked us a little bit. But I thought our guys rallied, played well, kept their composure, kept fighting, kept digging. I thought across the board we out-athleted them in a few areas.
Yeah. Listen, I got to go back and I got to go back and revisit something because John Carroll is a heckler tonight. So he put in the comments, he says, so you're going to talk about the Bridgman not playing the third quarter. So what he's referring to is, John, I don't know if you misunderstood me. this is on my personal Facebook page that I put on earlier this week, where I criticized, well, not criticized, but I questioned other bands like my alma mater, the Berrien High Rebel Marching Rebel Regiment, that kind of stuff. Do other bands, do they take off the third quarter? And I found out from some people that, yeah, that a lot of schools, you know, their bands do take off the entire third quarter to let them take a potty break, to let them grab a quick bite to eat, visit with their parents, which I quickly rebutted. Is like, wait a minute, why are we taking the third quarter off? Because the band is an integral part of a support system that is there to support and fire up the crowd and their team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, wait a minute, Lowndes doesn't do that. That's why we have water moms. I think they call themselves water chicks or something like that, where the band is up there constantly playing throughout the game, even after they get through playing at halftime. So, John, I'm questioning why some of these other bands take the third quarter off. I think that practice should be done away with. And I questioned it because we have a former Lowndes director now directing the band at Berrien. And I'm thinking out loud, is like, man, now that we have a Lowndes guy at Berrien, I hope they do away with that practice if they could taking the third quarter off. But I found out that's not the case. They're still taking the third quarter off, which I cannot stand.
Now some of these smaller programs may not consider their band the 12th man. So, I mean, maybe that's the difference between us and everybody else. We consider our band the 12th man on the field.
Yeah.
Because our band, whether they're playing, whether they're making noise, whatever they're doing, they are creating a bunch of ruckus from that south end zone.
Right. I get it, man.
Yeah. Hey, by all means, Bridgman, keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Greg Maddox. Yeah, I got to overlook Greg. He's a Cook County Hornet. First, before he became a Lowndes Viking. So Greg says most high school bands do take the first half, and then I guess what he meant was they play the first half, then they take the third quarter off. That might be the case, Greg, at most high school bands, but they need to stop that. It's a terrible practice. It just is. I'm saying it just is. Okay, we're not going to turn the whole show into let's talk about the band night. Okay, but I just wanted to point that out because John Carroll picking on me a little bit because I said that earlier this week about the Berrien band. All right, so on with the show. We talked about Lowndes playing at Rock Creek, and I told people going into this game, even on last week's show, we had some two great interviews, but we found some time to talk about football last week as well. And I told people, don't take Rock Creek for granted. You may not know much about them, but they got some fantastic athletes. They've got an up and coming quarterback. You could tell that he was young. He made some bad reads, that kind of stuff, but he's still a fantastic athlete. And then they did jump on us pretty quickly. We were down 12-0. They didn't have much.
The thing about that. Here's the thing about that young quarterback. Yeah, he was a young quarterback, but let me tell you something. That was one of the fastest and quickest releases I've seen in quite a little while. I mean, that ball was zipping out of his hand. As soon as he saw somebody he wanted to cut the ball loose to, it was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, he was but he wasn't about as big as a twig, though. I mean, the boy needs to eat a couple of cheeseburgers.
He was small. I think he was a freshman, though. To be fair to him, he was a freshman, I think.
Yeah, he needs to eat a couple of cheeseburgers. Because he turns sideways, he just disappears sometimes. I mean, I understand the defense losing him a little bit, but I mean, they were long, they were lengthy. And here's the thing: they're a perennially good team up in the Metro DC area. I think last year they were in the top 10, top 6, something like that in Metro DC. So I mean, there's a pretty good football played up there. Don't think there's not.
Yeah. So with that said, Travis Hart brings up a great point. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Let's talk about this. And there's room for disagreement here. I'm going to say that up front. But Travis makes the point, these slow starts are going to hurt us against better opponents. Well, first of all, I agree with your overall premise that the slow starts are going to hurt us. Now, as far as better opponents, that kind of implies that we played lesser opponents. Now, the first three teams are all pretty good teams. They were quality opponents. They didn't have very much depth, and I think that's where we benefited from, because all three teams did not have very much depth. And if you notice, the second half, we really poured it on in all three games.
Yeah.
Now, I think that speaks to what Travis is saying, though. These slow starts against these teams that are, just strong in stature and have just as much depth as we have. Chase, you think it's going to catch up with us if we don't get out to a faster start?
I've been tracking a few things with Lowndes, just something of my personal nature. Because almost every football coach you meet has a few scripted plays that they like to come out and run. And I think that may have a little bit to do with Lowndes' slow start, if that's what Adam Carter's doing. I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm not in Coach Carter's head. I don't get to talk to Coach Carter on a regular basis, so by no means am I putting words or thoughts out there as fact. This is just my opinion. Some coaches, they have 5, 6 plays they script out for the first drive. And basically they do that to get an idea of what the defense is going to do towards this formation, that formation, or if they go to this player or that player. So
Right.
I'm not saying that, again, I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but I think that may have a little bit to do with our slow start. It is what it is. And I agree, if we were playing against, let's say,
Chase, I don't know if you hit the slow motion button, but all of a sudden you are
that
in slow motion. All right. So as Chase recovers from his audio-visual miscues, I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the stats coming into this game, or as a result of this game. Okay. So here's some offensive stats that you need to be aware of. In this game, Marvis was 10 of 21 in the passing department for 122 yards. Completion percentage, around 47%. This is the second week in a row where that completion percentage been right at or a little bit less than 50%. I'm a little bit concerned about that. Now, that we can debate and argue about numbers of reasons that start that. Okay. So, Chase, I see that you've cleared that up. So let me bring you back on the screen. Chase, I'm talking about the offensive stats now, and specifically Marvis's completion rate. He was 10 out of 21. That's a 47% completion rate. Chase, this is the second week in a row where we've had around a 50% or less completion rate. Now, it stands in stark contrast to the first game where his completion rate was around 70%. Okay. So there's a number of reasons. We can debate, we can argue, we can, give different reasons for this, but the bottom line is the number is what it is, right? So when people argue or scream that we got to throw the ball more, we threw the ball 21 times. We had 21 attempts the other night. And for a Lowndes team, historically, that's a lot of throws. But again, I'm concerned about the number of completions that we're getting.
Yeah, I am too. I want to see that number rise. You got to be up above 60% at bare minimum to be competitive to be competitive against some of the teams that like to throw the ball around. And you look at teams like the kid from Carrollton. I saw, I think, one game where he was at 68, 70% completion percentage. I mean, he lit it up. But there again, I mean, you got to get that number up. I don't know whether it's a scheme thing. I don't know what it is. But
to me, it's you can't pinpoint it on one area or one group of athletes, because we did have a number of drops Friday night. To me, that can be cleaned up. You catch the ball. When it hits you in the hands, catch the ball. So that can be cleaned up. The other ones that's a little bit more concerning are the incompletions due to the quarterback being rushed, having to throw a bad ball, having to get rid of it. not being able to set his feet before he starts throwing the ball, that kind of stuff. All those things are a little bit more concerning to me than the drop balls. Drop balls, that can be fixed. But these other things, if they become a trend, then that's going to be an issue from here on out. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, and if you want Marvis on the run, and if you want Marvis moving, then design the play to be that way. Uh, Design to play, throw some bootlegs in there where he's able to roll out and buy himself some time based on the play, not necessarily a scramble drill. But you know, I I see some minor tweaks that need to be cleaned up on the offensive line. There's a few things here and there. Uh, yeah, I'm not going to point at this player or that player because I don't want to do that. But there's some cleanup. There's some work to be done on the offensive line, and it's more technique. Uh, it's more technique work. I think that's all it is. I think it's just repetition, understanding what your assignment is on this play or that play. And I think it's one of those things where if we spend time and we develop linemen throughout the program, not just the ones that are playing on Friday night, let's get down into the middle schools and into the freshman class and start teaching them techniques and start teaching them how to defend this technique and that technique from a defensive lineman. Teach them how to combat this move or that move. I think you'll see it translate into being better on Friday nights as time progresses under the Adam Carter era.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm kind of confused on something. Hold on a second. That's why I don't. Guys, if you want to go ahead and enter for your chance to win our tonight's drawing, two T-shirts, go ahead and enter into the comments #1Lounge, just like you see on the screen, right? #1Lounge. You don't put any spaces or anything like that. So if you don't want to enter, then don't enter. But if you do, right now, the lines are wide open. The two of you that have entered so far that I see, no, there's several of you and I don't know why that's not picking it up. So you guys may have to enter that again and again.
Hey, LG, I got a question for you. Were your eyes hurting when you left the stadium Friday night from looking at those god awful highlighter uniforms they had on?
They were Oregon Duck-esque types of uniforms.
Man, I had a headache when I left.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. It was kind of cool to see another dark colored uniform in there because normally a visiting team wears their road whites, but apparently I don't know if they didn't have them or they just asked permission to wear their dark colored jerseys or whatever. I thought their uniform was fine. It's just that helmet. Oh my gosh, that bright yellow Oregon Duck yellow is.
Yeah. Oh man, it gave me a headache.
Their normal helmet, I think yellow is a new color scheme for this season. Last season, they had, I want to say black helmets with like a green with a white lettering R for Rock Creek around that with an eagle in the middle of it. But this year, they just went all yellow with no logo on it. I didn't like it, but I don't know. To each his own, I suppose.
I keep hoping for the return of the silver bullets.
I got you, man. So we were 10 of 21 for 122 yards. Quarterback rating of 62. We got to get that up. That'll climb higher with more completions. The drop passes, we had about 5 or 6 drop passes. So that brings that completion percentage up to about 60% if we just catch those balls. So I'm hoping it's still early season jitters, people still getting comfortable with their positions. I'm hoping that's the case. Because we've definitely got the athletes getting open, right? I am to your point that you said a little bit earlier, a little bit concerned about the offensive line in not getting back in. Now, one thing that I have noticed that some of those hurries, some of those scrambles out to the right, because it just looks like Marvis has a tendency when he gets pressure to go out to roll out to his right, and sometimes, I don't know if it was because he's just uncomfortable because it just seems like that pass rush is being pushed out to the sides of him, which they're supposed to do, right? So instead of stepping up into the pocket to buy him more time, he's just trying to escape immediately to the right, almost sometimes running into that defensive end. So
Yeah,
I don't know, because I'm too far away to really notice what's going on, but that appeared to be what was happening.
Yeah, and when you're playing against an opponent with a quarterback like Marvis Parrish, okay, you run a lot of defensive end contain. You want your defensive ends to go downfield and contain back inside to force him back up in the pocket to where you've got help. Now, I agree. There seems to be some room if he steps up, and there seems to be a little more room if he steps up and then maybe steps outside.
Sure.
So I would like to see him develop more, like you said, more patience in the pocket. I would like to see him learn to try to buy himself some downfield presence and stuff like that. I would like to see him learn to read the defense a little quicker, not necessarily read it better, but just maybe a little faster, if that makes any sense. Seems like he's taking too much time to try and let the play develop. You know, at this stage, make one, maybe two reads, and then try to figure out what you're going to do a little faster.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm going to throw this disclaimer out there that we are not coaches on the team, right? No. And we're not in that play huddle. We're not taking the snaps. We're not watching the film like they are. But from a fan's perspective, that's what it appears to look like. And so that's why we're talking about that tonight. So here are some other stats. In the rushing department, we were 32 carries for 106 yards. Now, I did notice that Smoke went out in the first half, I believe, did not return in the second half. So I'm not sure if that was just precautionary or if there's an actual injury there. I'm not exactly sure because I've been out of town all week, haven't had a chance to follow up with anybody.
I've asked around. I've talked to a few people. From what I understand, he's good.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, it's a winning combination. Now, in his stead, Liam Brown had 12 carries for 20 yards. Marvish had 14 carries for 72 yards. In the receiving department, you know, we did have some catches on the night, 10 catches. Aiden Sifa led the way, 4 receptions for 62 yards. Jalen Carter, Mr. Waffle House, had three catches for 45 yards for a total of 130 yards in receptions for the night.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think we've got to get a few more people involved. I think we're being 1-2 receiver specific. I want to see that. I want to see that number go up across the board for a lot of these kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've got some soft-handed kids out there. I'm still like you, Larry. I'm waiting on that wheel route from Smoke, you know, when he goes up, because the kid's going to be wide open if we can get it to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, it was good to see Johnny Bebo back on the field. You having some issues there? It was good to see Johnny Bebo back on the field. He had 3 tackles. Marlon Evans had 4. The leading tackler on the night, it looks like, was Jaquan Thomas, had 8 total tackles. That was great to see. Travis Brown had 7 tackles. So those were your leaders for the night. So congratulations to those guys.
It was also good to see Tyler Parker back out there too.
Absolutely.
You know, he was hurt the first game or so. So it was good to see him. Yeah, I was really worried because when we went over there and played in Colquitt, he was limping pretty severely on the sideline, and I don't know if you noticed his knee was in a brace. So it was good. It was good to see him back out there Friday night.
Yeah. So check out these tackle leaders: Johnny Bebo Jr., Coleman Lewis Jr., KJ Massey Jr., Jaquan Thomas Jr., Jalen Carter Jr., Tyler Parker sophomore, Travis Brown Jr., Jay Stallworth Jr. Contreras is a junior. So we've got a lot of underclassmen that are making a difference on defense. And that just tells you that next year's defense is going to be even stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the defense is young. They're hungry. I mean, you've got a few senior leaders out there who are definitely making their impact and their presence felt, like Marlon Evans and Marion Whitlock. Those guys, they make a difference. Their senior leadership makes a difference.
Yeah.
But their ability to lead this underclassmen through this year will definitely show up next year when they're gone.
Candace is correcting me. Jaden Stallworth. What is wrong with calling him Jay? Come on. If we can call Jalen Waffle House, come on, Candace. You got to cut me some slack this week. I'm just kidding. David Behringer has said this a couple times in the comments where he says tackling was not impressive, tackling high and a lot of yards after. David, that's going to be cleaned up. That's the purpose of this non-region schedule. So you gotta just trust the process. That is going to be cleaned up. I promise you that. Okay?
Yeah,
and we're going to start seeing that this coming week against East Coweta when the Indians from Sharpsburg comes into the Concrete Palace, right? You know, we've got a history with East Coweta. They beat us last year.
Yeah.
And so the boys in purple are coming down. They're going to try to hurt our feelings. So anyway.
And and keep in mind, Lounge fans, that's a 4-0 East Coweta team that's coming to play a 3-0 Lounge team. So here's my thing, and in regards to the tackling, if you think for a second that Coach Anders and Coach Carter ain't cleaning that up, they actively working on cleaning that up. I can promise you.
Yeah, so that, you know, just like on the offense, I'm not concerned at this stage in the season about drop passes. That's going to get cleaned up. I'm not concerned about high tackling, especially in a newer defensive scheme. I mean, you can tell they're getting more comfortable, but they're still thinking instead of reacting like they should. So that is going to get cleaned up. Guys, you just got to trust the process on that one.
Yeah, and if they make a mistake on defense, yeah, and look, yeah, are we going to be upset as fans? Absolutely. But again, I remind you, third new system in 3 years.
Yeah,
give them a little time. Okay, give them a little patience. They're working on it, and I wasn't a big fan. I'm still not, I'm still not 100% understanding the 3-3-5 stack. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan. I just don't understand it yet. So hey, look, it just be patient as fans is all I can say.
Yeah. Jeff Dasher, he says, I'm proud of my boy. I coached the past 2 seasons. Now, if y'all don't know, Jeff Dasher was a community coach that coached, was part of the special teams coaches. Okay. So I think he coached, Jeff, you coach long snappers, right? I believe that's right. So he's talking about proud of my boy. I coached the past 2 seasons, Weston Edwards. Weston has got, I think he's got an offer from a school. I'm afraid East Coweta watched the film this week, and they will not give him a free run down the field this week. Now, what Jeff is referring to is there was a punt, and it resulted in a fumble recovery downfield. And you know who was very integral in that? Weston Edwards. The long snapper. That dude was hustling.
Here's the thing. He's been doing that for a few years now. That kid's one of the first ones down the field on every punt. And here's the thing. I don't care if you watch film or not.
Yeah.
How you really going to stop it?
That's right. Okay, Chase, you and I, let me just stop for a second and kind of detour like a 2-minute segue into college football, because I got to do this.
Oh, Lord.
Because on the White Oak Investment comment line tonight, we got a Gator in Justin Haskin. He's like one half of one of our sponsors, so I got to be careful. He's a sponsor of mine. Okay?
He ought to be taking care of himself, because I know being a fan of that team right now has got to be
the Migraine and Spine Clinic
Major
of Valdosta.
migraine.
Justin Haskin says, "Go Gators." Justin, here's what I say to you, my brother. Go Volunteers.
Oh.
Got a big game this weekend, Florida and Tennessee.
I wonder what the spread is on that, because I believe I'd take the points in Tennessee's favor.
Listen, the spread is Tennessee will score however many points Tennessee wants to score on Florida this weekend.
Hey, when we come on next week, we'll probably have to take an immediate break as soon as we go live, because Tennessee will be scoring again.
I love it. I love it. Okay, back to high school football. All right, so we were talking about East Coweta coming in to this play, to the concrete pass. Let me give you some stat comparison between East Coweta and Lowndes. Okay.
Okay.
So rushing yards per game, Lowndes is averaging about 198 yards a game. East Coweta is at 152, so they can run the ball too. And they're 4-0. They've already played 4 games. So they're averaging 152 yards on the ground through 4 games. Now, in the passing department, we're averaging 85 yards a game. We got to step that up. That's got to be, if we're talking championship caliber football, we got to be rushing for 200 yards a game and passing for 150, 160 yards per game minimum. You agree with that?
You got to have a balance in today's game. It's probably going to it's to the point now where you're going to have to be a little bit more pass heavy than run heavy. But I still think being able to run the football and move the ball on the ground has its place in high school ball, especially. But I mean, you go and look at some of these teams, man. Some of these teams are 200 yards, 270, 250, 275 a game.
That's right.
And throwing the football. So, you know, we still, that 3 yards in a cloud of dust stuff just really doesn't work.
Absolutely, man. I'll go ahead and take another detour and welcome Mr. Bobby Willis joining us tonight. Bobby is the director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in this area, and he does a fantastic job of organizing that organization. Listen, you and I are believers. We are totally behind the effort of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I believe Bobby organizes the FCA meeting groups at Lowndes High School, and I think they had a pretty good turnout this week for their FCA early morning meeting as well, where I believe the head coach for the Valley State Blazers spoke at the FCA event. So great job, Mr. Bobby. Thank you so much for you do with FCA. We'll see you tomorrow night at the stadium.
Absolutely. Love what that guy does. Coach Carter's taken a pretty strong approach in that department as well, and I'm very thankful for what he's done.
Absolutely. All right, so East Coweta, we average 85 yards passing per game. East Coweta averages 185 yards. They're going to test our secondary. 185 yards. So they average total yards about 337 yards a game. We're at 283. We got to get that to 350 to 400 consistently per game.
Absolutely.
Total offensive production.
100% agree.
So, yeah, 283 yards, that's going to be good enough to beat someone like a Rock Creek, someone like a worn down Gadsden County. It's not going to be Grayson. It's not going to be Colquitt County. It's not going to be Valdosta. We got to have that in the 380 to 400 plus range, about total yardage, right?
Yeah.
And now on the flip side, East Coweta, they're at 337 right now in total yardage per game. Now, as far as scoring points, these two teams are pretty evenly matched. East Coweta averages close to 32 points a game. We're at 33 points a game. So some of their guys to be on the lookout for in the rushing department is the wearing jersey number 1, Deontay Jones. In the passing yards, number 11 is their quarterback, Cohen Peoples. He averages 185 yards a game. Tackles per game on defense, they've got a stud, Chase, in wearing the number 2 jersey, in Josh Anderson, averaging 10 tackles a game.
Good Lord. What's he playing?
That's a lot of tackles.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm just curious what position he plays.
Me too. I mean, who's he think he is? Ray Lewis?
He's a senior, 6 foot, 175 pounds, strong safety / outside linebacker. That makes sense.
Okay, so Lowndes coaches, I hope y'all have done your research, because apparently that's a strong safety that likes to walk down in the box. So yeah, pay attention.
So we can see what they're going to do, and this is no surprise. Just about every game plan, heckler number 2, Jason Anderson, is on the scene. He says he plays tackler.
He plays.
Don't worry about the position that he plays. He
Right.
plays tackler. Absolutely, Jason. We're right there with you.
If I didn't know any better, he sounded like another Gator fan.
No. Jason Anderson is he bleeds red and black.
Oh well, that's no better.
He's an Atlanta Braves, Lowndes Viking, and Georgia Bulldog. Okay, so it's no secret what they're going to do. They're going to crowd that box. Number 2, Mr. Anderson, another Mr. Josh Anderson is going to walk up from that strong safety position. They're going to crowd the box and they're going to dare us throw. So I think we're going to have some opportunities with some one-on-one battles on the outside. Jalen Carter, it's setting up to be a big night for you, bro.
Which means if they're walking a safety down, which means they're going to try to probably man up on the outside.
Exactly right. Aiden Sifa.
Yep. Aiden, there's your opportunity, buddy.
So anyway, Leighton Proctor, could be your night. Could be your night. So anyway, that's what East Coweta is going to bring to the table. They are a very sound, disciplined team. As you would expect, they're a 7A program. So they've got some pretty good size, right? Yeah. This is not a team that we can strictly rely on wearing down and depth to beat, right? Now, they are an Atlanta-based team, Sharpsburg. So they may not be as well-conditioned as we are, but they're going to have the numbers to be able to rotate, just like we do.
Yeah, so, of course.
I mean, so with that said, oh, Lord, Tierra, one thing that you can count on, Chase, I
love our fans.
I think half of our fan base tunes in to heckle me, to make fun of what I say, the way I said it. So now Tierra Battle says, Larry said, bruh.
I like it. Hey, Tierra, I'm working with him. Really, I am. Really, I am. I'm trying.
So Tierra is a good friend of mine, and Chase Calhoun is another good friend of mine. And so we have a separate Lowndes super fan chat string going at all times. It just seems like, and Tierra and Chase have been helping me with my street cred language, right? Because I'm all about the Queen's English, speaking properly, enunciate words, that kind of stuff. But they get on to me all the time. And so I get embarrassed every once in a while because I hear a new word, Chase, like kind of slang, and I don't really know what it means. I pretend like I do, but I don't. And so I will fire off a text to these two. It's like, will y'all help me understand what this word means?
See, I'm at an advantage in that department, LG, because I live with a bunch of teenagers. So I got my own translation department with me at all times. So I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
So listen, what really got me to change my language a little bit. So I was talking to a buddy of mine and my kids were around, and I called, in our day and age, we called them bro, right?
Oh, Lord.
And my son and my daughter looked at me. He's like, what is a bro? So, well, how should I have said that? And my daughter says it's bruh. Like,
bruh. Yeah.
Was that even a word? It just sounds like you made a sound. like you hacked something up. Something was stuck and it just came out. Is that what you just did? It's like, no, that's the word. It's bruh. And you got to say it with kind of like an attitude as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
hey, now one thing we didn't show a lot of love to tonight, and I want to point this out, is our special teams. Aiden Andrews, man, look, we were down there on the sidelines Friday night.
Yeah.
Right? He lined up to kick that 42-yarder, and I ain't gonna point no names because they know who they are. I literally heard somebody say, man, kid can't hit from there. I said, I said, do me a favor, buddy, hold your breath.
They don't know Aiden like we know Aiden.
Yeah, Sean, I'm telling you.
That dude's a sophomore, and he's got the leg of a senior already.
Yes, he can boot it. He can boot it, and he's accurate. Watch him warm up. If y'all need to get there way before the game kicks off and watch that kid warm up and watch how far he backs up. I mean, he's got a leg.
Yeah. So anyway, um, these commenters, my hecklers, Chase, they got me distracted. They got me distracted over there. David Behringer's picking on me now.
What did he say?
I don't know. He threw out a word up there and he's trying to see if I can pronounce it right. So David, I'm done. I'm sticking with the Queen's English. That's it. That's it. Or should I say the King's English now? So since Great Britain has a new king now.
Yeah.
All right. So back to what we were talking about here. Let's talk about the standings in Region 17A. Okay. Guys, y'all don't beat me up when I say this. The king of the hill right now is Colquitt County. They're the man. Until you beat the man, they're still the man. So Colquitt County beat a pretty good Lee County team 37-20.
Mm-hmm.
Beat them pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play this weekend. So Colquitt now is 4-0. Lowndes is in the number 2 spot at 3-0. We defeated Rock Creek, obviously, 23-12, playing East Coweta this week. Camden County is 3-1. They took down the all-powerful New Hampstead 51-7. They're going to play a team out of Florida I don't know anything about. Team is Somerset Academy out of Florida. Richmond Hill, surprisingly to me, is 3-1. So maybe they're better than I expected. They took down Creekside out of Florida, 49-31. They've been scoring a lot of points. Now they will play New Hampstead this week. They're going to beat New Hampstead to be 4-1 after this week. Valdosta, Chase, I got to admit, I was surprised at not just I thought Warner Robins was going to beat Valdosta, but not only did they not beat Valdosta, but they got spanked by Valdosta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty handily.
Pretty handily, 45-12.
Yeah.
45-12.
Look, Valdosta's over there trying to make statements against their opponents right now, but after they drove all the way to Ohio, lost to Massillon, or however you say it, Valdosta's out to prove a point, which makes them very, 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 very scary. Because that bunch will play angry, they will play mad, and they will play flat out. And look, my hat's off to that coaching staff. They've done an amazing job. There's only one problem with that.
What's
you
that?
You still got them Vikings feet to roll up in that parking lot in a few weeks. We're gonna pour some gasoline on them ships and set them on fire, and we fit to go cat skinning.
That's big talk, man. That's big talk. All you cat fans, that was Chase that said that. Look at you wearing that new Viking Nation shirt there.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So Valdosta beat Warner Robins 45-12, and now we'll take on Coral Gables. I don't think Coral Gables is very good, so they're going to be 4-1 after this week. So this week, if everything goes as expected, heading into next week, Colquitt's probably going to be 4-0. Camden is probably going to be 4-1. Richmond Hill probably 4-1. Valdosta probably be 4-1. Now, will Lowndes beat East Coweta? I'm going to say yes. So Lowndes is going to be 4-0 after this week. What do you think?
I think we'll beat East Coweta. Now, part of me wants to say that, and I know, LG, you don't like it when fans do this. You especially don't like it when I do this. But I think Carter and that Lowndes coaching staff have been kind of keeping the reins tugged back on them. You know, just do just enough to win, but don't do just enough that we got to show everything. We got to keep a little bit back on the back burner, a little bit back here on simmer. And I think you're going to see Lowndes really come out and turn on the Jets this week. I really, in my gut, I feel it. It's coming.
I like the way you think, man. Now, I'm going to ask you to get more specific. When you say you think Lowndes is going to turn on the Jets, in what way and when will the Jets be turned on?
Look, I think you're going to see smoke in that backfield, and you're going to see them receivers running routes that you haven't seen a little bit more. You'll see some whip routes in there. You'll see some harder, faster slants, some quicker outs. I think you'll see them attack, especially the middle of the field, if they're just going to keep one safety deep. Watch for that post route. You know, watch for a hard end coming right across behind the linebackers. Maybe draw the safety down, go over the top with a post route. I'm telling you, it's coming. Our OC, Coach Bailey, you know, coached college for the last ever how many years, and his offenses. I've done my research on him. His offenses have been absolutely stat machines.
Okay.
That he's absolutely retooled offenses. He took offenses that were at the bottom of the barrel and winded up transforming them into top 5 offenses in their divisions. So, you know, give him time. I mean, he knows what he's doing. So, you know, I think you're going to see a different Lowndes offense come out in the first half this week versus last week. This week we know we got to turn it on. That offense knows they got to turn it on, and Coach Bailey knows he's got to turn it on and cut them loose.
That's right. Okay, so I'm going to put something up on the screen. And I got to admit, you and I talked about this before the show, and I told you I was surprised. And that's this week's composite ranking. Mm-hmm. I thought since Lowndes got off to a 3-0 start against some pretty good competition, not great competition, but pretty good competition.
Good out-of-state competition at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought for sure that Lowndes would hit at least the top 10. Mm-hmm. Last week, we were in the top 12. This week, we have fallen completely out of the rankings. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. Now, before the fans get on to me, it's like rankings don't matter, and it's really what matters where they're ranked at the end of the season, that kind of stuff. Listen, we're a fan show. Rankings do matter to every fan base out there, whether it's high school, college. I know coaches don't like to pay attention to them, but coaches even pay attention to these, right? So rankings do matter because to me, it's a sign of respect more than anything. And right now, if you're a Lowndes player, you are being disrespected. I'm just going to throw it out there like that. That's the only way you can interpret this. The only way you can interpret this.
I agree 100%. If I was a player and a coach, I'd be able to chew up nails right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you expect at the top of the rankings, someone like Buford. They're 3-0.
Absolutely.
They're hyped. They're a super machine. Yeah. You know, you can debate whether their kids are recruited, but the bottom line is that they got some stellar athletes. Mill Creek, Walton, Colquitt County, all in the top 4. Carrollton, you can expect them in the top 5. You know, they're expected to be world beaters this year. Westlake is kind of a surprise. They've got some great athletes this year. They find themselves ranked number 6. Milton's got a good team. Parkview surprisingly has a really, really good team this year. They played some really good football. All these teams are deserving. Is Grayson the number 9 team in the state? That's debatable. Is Valdosta the number 10 team in the state after they struggled against Cook County? That's debatable. But I think Lowndes belongs in at least the top 12 here. So if you're a Lowndes coach, if you are a Lowndes player, if you are in the band, if you help with the water, if you sweep the floors in the stadium, you ought to enter tomorrow night's game just pissed off because you've been disrespected. That's just the way I see it.
If you're part of the concrete crazies, it ought to make you madder than fire. You ought to be ready to burn the house down tomorrow night.
Right.
And those guys always are. The top 9 on that list, LG makes sense to me. From there down, I don't get it.
Yeah.
From there down, whoever voted those last 3, we need to have a discussion, and they need to go talk to some people because, man, come on, bro.
I know, man. I know. So Travis says these rankings are done by people from Atlanta, and Travis, you're exactly right. But it's not just Atlanta.
100% correct.
It's not just Atlanta. Right? The AJCs, that's Atlanta. GPB, that's Atlanta. Right? 680 The Fan, that's Atlanta. Max Preps is not Atlanta. The Sports Writers is not Atlanta. So I get it, but you also have to take a look at, there are at least 2 South Georgia teams on there. Well, you got Colquitt County and Valdosta. They're not Atlanta teams. So, yes, I understand the argument. But as a Lowndes player, as a Lowndes, you ought to feel disrespected. That's just the way I see it.
And by all means, does Colquitt deserve to be up there? Absolutely. 100% hands down. Like I said, 9 up from 1 through 9 makes sense to me. They maybe not in that exact order, but it makes sense. I really think the 3-way tie between Colquitt, Milton, or Colquitt, Walton, and Mill Creek, that doesn't make sense to me. I think Colquitt's the second best team in the state right now. It doesn't make sense to me. And Colquitt County should feel kind of slighted in that department as well. I really think they're the second best team in the state right now. Until they show me otherwise. And Buford is arguably the number 1 team in the state. They're probably the number 1 team in the state across all classifications. It don't matter who you are.
Yeah, so it really comes down to play on the field, and I think Lowndes has always gotten respect across the state. You know, I can't remember a time when Lowndes hasn't been ranked this deep into the season. Okay, we've fallen in and out of rankings all the time, but we've at least been ranked pretty good bit. So I don't buy the no respect Lowndes argument. Lowndes is a respected program across the state. Just mark it down. That's a fact.
Yeah,
but I think this is probably Chase. I think this is more indicative of the type of play that we've won 3 games, but I think the way that we've had to come back, the way that we've had to rely on overwhelming an opponent with just sheer numbers and conditioning in the second half, I think that's what's showing up in these polls, or lack of showing up in the polls, I should say.
Yeah.
So you start to win convincingly, or you start to win beat some well-known brands out there like a Grayson in a couple of weeks. You even beat East Coweta tomorrow night convincingly. Lowndes will show up in this poll.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I agree with some of our fan base that spoke up, back before we had a whole lot of football to talk about, and we were kind of just speculating and everything. And one of the fans brought up, we need to get back to the days back in like the early 2000s when we were just stomping the mess out of everybody. It was like 55 to whatever. And I agree 100%. We've got to get back to that point. We're not there yet, but let's step on the field and absolutely perform and score as many points as we can and quit taking our foot off the gas. Have we faced some adversity early on? Yes. Does that show you the true testament of a team? Yes. Does that show you the true testament of a head coach and what he's instilled in his players? Yes. Now, I want to see, can they come out and punch a team in the mouth off Jump Street?
Yeah.
That's just factual, LG, and that's not throwing shade at anybody. I want to see the Lowndes that I was after I got out of high school and started watching. I want to see that Lowndes again. I want to see the Lowndes that steps on the field, punches you in the mouth, and just keeps punching while you're on the ground while everybody else is taking pictures.
Dang, man, just tell us how you really feel.
And they got the team to do it. They got the team to do it.
Yeah.
They do.
Okay, so as far as standings and how they're performing, Chase lost video. Something while we wait for Chase to reconnect, something that I want to keep updating you guys on is how Region 4 is doing. The reason I'm highlighting Region 4 along with Region 1 is, remember, first week of the playoffs, first round of the playoffs this year, Region 1 plays Region 4. So Chase is back. Okay, so
problems.
That's okay. It happens. Chase, I'm about to highlight how Region 4 is doing, because in the first round of the playoffs, that's who we match up against in the first round. So Newton is leading Region 4 right now. They're 4-0. They beat McEachern last week 13-7. They're going to play Westlake. This coming Friday night. That's going to be a big game.
Yeah,
because Westlake is highly ranked in the polls at number 6, I believe.
Yes.
So if Newton can pull off a win, then the Newton Rams are for real. Okay. Mm-hmm. So right after Newton, Parkview is 3-0. They took down North Gwinnett in a very entertaining game, 35-32. They play another smaller yet strong team in St. Pius coming up this Friday night. South Gwinnett is 3-0. They didn't play. They take on Decatur this week. Grayson is 3-1. They beat Spartanburg out of South Carolina 21-19. They take the night off tomorrow night. Archer, this is kind of surprising to me. Archer is 1-3. They lost to Norcross 25-21. They'll be at Shiloh. And Brookwood is 1-2. They didn't play. They're going to play another smaller yet stronger team in Carver, Columbus. So it looks like in the early going, Archer and Brookwood may be struggling. So your top 4 teams in Region 4 this year may be Newton, Parkview, South Gwinnett, and Grayson. So we expect that to shuffle.
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe a lot by the end of the season. I'm still expecting either Grayson or Parkview to pull away and win that region. So it may come down to Grayson versus Parkview in that game to decide the number 1 seed. But keep your eye on Region 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Grayson's playing some good football. They always do. That's a football machine up there. So, I mean, we know what we're getting with Grayson. We got to travel to Grayson. We need the fans to travel well to Grayson next week. I'm going to go ahead and give that plug in there early on. LG is with me on that one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know it's about a 3.5 hour ride. Make the drive. The boys deserve it. They need it. The crazies make the drive. So by all means, fans, come on. I mean,
absolutely.
We used to travel. I remember we used to travel with about 5,000 fans on a regular basis. And now it's down. They may be 300. I think you told me one game last year.
Right. Now I didn't get a chance to. Let's revisit what you just said there because that's a striking number. But one of these comments in the White Oak Investment comment line is from Georgia Coach Trainer. He usually brings up some good information. I didn't get a chance to read Georgia High School Football Daily this week because I was busy with work. But if this is true, this is striking. He says last time Lowndes wasn't ranked this late in the season was 2015, according to Georgia High School Football Daily. And that is my point right there. You can blame it on strength of schedule, like someone said earlier. You can blame it on having to come back from behind. You can blame it on playing perhaps weaker teams. I'm not sure. Now, can y'all remember in the Randy McPherson days when we loaded our non-region schedule with weak teams and still were highly ranked?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying that there just seems to be a mystique that has been diminished around the Lowndes program. And the only way you solve that is not just no, that was classy.
That's one of the football players that live in my house. Jesus.
Oh my gosh, that was fun. Now the viewers enjoyed that too.
Jesus.
This might be the only time I've ever seen you turn red, Chase.
Oh, Lord God. I apologize. Good Lord. Dude, it's like this in my house all the time. Y'all got no idea.
David Behringer says on this, David, you'll have to go back and watch the tape at about the minute 13 mark, minute 12 mark. I mean, hour and 12 mark, something like that. So we had a show in the background.
And by the way, if y'all are wondering, the one that walked behind me with no shirt on is the one they call Smash.
I got you. He's an up and coming Lowndes Viking.
Yes.
Yeah. David says, dude, your face is red as UGA red. That was funny. I got to admit, that was just funny.
That comical break was brought to you by whoever Larry wants to give it to.
That's exactly right. So I completely lost my train of thought because that just was so distracting.
We were talking about how much their Lowndes is disrespected by the strength of schedule.
Oh yeah. This late in the season, right? So So my point was, even in the Randy McPherson years when it was obvious that you're stacking the non-region schedule with just terrible opponents, just very weak opponents, that can't be argued when you have a team like Windsor Forest and you beat them 87-0, right? So those were the types of years that we had in the non-region part of the schedule, and still we were highly ranked. So I can't emphasize this enough. So as a player, you got to play with your hair on fire and a chip on your shoulder tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Because, I was talking about street cred a while ago. In the world of football cred, right? Winning. You got to win, baby. Right? Winning will take care of everything else.
Look, I'll give you a prime example of losing some of that fear and that, respect throughout the years. Used to teams, Valdosta could show up at any place and it was immediately theirs. They were the Valdosta Wildcats. They were just coming. They were burning the house down and taking everything. Everybody feared them. And Wildcats.
Do you think there's style points in high school football? Jason Anderson brings up a good point. Now, I think he's referring to the college game. He says, I think beating the tar out of anyone resonates with the voters, even if it's a bad team. If you win convincingly, they vote for you. So we're talking about style points, right?
Yes.
So that matters in high school too?
I think so. I think it has a place in high school football. Yes. I heard a coach, and he was deemed like the most hated coach in all of high school football across the country at one point. The guy was receiving death threats and this, that, and the other, but he was literally beating teams like it was crazy. I mean, he was just blowing them out of the water. I mean, it was like he was scoring 60, 70, 80 points a game. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
And he got to where he was that good. His teams were that good, but he would always sit his starters after, about halfway through the third quarter. His starters are out, they're dressed in street clothes on the sideline. He's playing his second and third string guys. Well, he gets into the playoffs, gets into this, that, and the third. He gets into situations where his guys have got to play a whole game and they're gassed by the fourth quarter. They ain't got nothing left in the tank.
Yep.
But his philosophy was, if I'm going to step on the gas whenever the game starts, I'm not stepping off the gas till the game ends. I don't care if I'm up by 80. My guys are staying on the field. My starters are in there, and we're going to continue to put our foot on the gas until you show me you can do something different to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the mentality that Randy McPherson had at one point. He'd step on the gas and he'd keep his foot on the throttle and keep his foot on your neck until he decided to take it off.
Yeah.
And, I get it. It's a respect factor amongst coaches now. You don't want to beat them too bad because you got to play them again next year. Worry about that next year.
Forget that.
Worry about that next year.
Now, who are the opponents that East Coweta has defeated to go 4-0 this year? Now, some of the names you're going to recognize, some of the names that you're not. They beat Stars Mill 28-21. That was kind of a close game. They beat Noonan 35-7. They beat Hillgrove 38-10. And they beat Sandy Creek, which is usually a pretty good smaller school. Mm-hmm. When I say smaller school, I think Sandy Creek might be what, 5A? Something like that? 4A, 5A? And they beat them 31-14 last week. This is not a school to take lightly. That's for sure.
No.
And they're not afraid of us. They beat us last year.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like you. Look, nobody's scared to come into the Concrete Palace and play. They should be, because it's a very raucous place to play. Just like nobody's scared to come to Death Valley anymore and play against Valdosta. The mystique is worn off. The facade, the veil has been pulled back. Nobody is scared of us anymore. That's right. It's time. And I mean this towards Valdosta too. It's time for teams like Valdosta and Lown to put the fear back in people, to make them scared to come down here and play.
That's right. And I wanted to correct myself. They're not a 4A school. They're a 3A school. They're in the same region as Cedar Grove and Carver out of Atlanta.
Yeah. And now, don't get me wrong. Valdosta has been playing some good football. Loud's been playing some good football. East Coweta is just not somebody we can just look on towards Grayson. We can't do that. Fans, we cannot be like, we ain't worried about East Coweta. We worried about Grayson. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Now, someone that one of these highly ranked teams that East Coweta is going to be playing next in a couple of weeks is Carrollton. Carrollton has Lambert in a couple of weeks, and then right after that is Carrollton. So they've got and then they've got Westlake as well. So I think Carrollton and Westlake may be in their regions. I'm not exactly sure, but that's a pretty strong region.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Man, we got to start faster, LG. I hate to beat that. It's like beating a dead horse. We just do. We just do. Our fan base starts fast. We just need the team to go with us.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to give you an idea on a quarter by quarter breakdown of how Lowndes has done this year. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me pull this up. I just had this at my fingertips. Hold on one second. All right, so as a good co-host, this is where you stall while I look for my information I should have had up already.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Y'all give LG some time. He's struggling. The man's been on the road all day. Trust me, it's totally bad, man.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's a quarter by quarter average breakdown of our scoring. Okay. In the first quarter, we averaged 1 point. 1 point in the first quarter through 3 games. In the second quarter, we come alive a little bit. We're averaging 14 points. 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. Not bad. Not bad. In the third quarter, 7 points. In the fourth quarter, it's 11 points. So we're clearly a second half team. Now, we do kind of wake up in the second quarter, but it's that slow first quarter that I'm concerned about because you can't afford to keep getting down 2 touchdowns. So anyway, so I'm expecting that to be turned around. I'm pretty convinced that the coaches know what they're doing. They see the stats just like we do. They pour over them a lot more than we do. I guarantee you that. So they're fixing that kind of stuff. So I'm expecting a faster start tomorrow night because I think that is something they're really, really emphasizing. So I would not be surprised to see us score twice in the first quarter tomorrow night and actually put up 28 points at the half tomorrow night.
Yeah. There's no reason why we shouldn't. I mean, with all that talent, you got Marvis Parrish, Shalem Bryant, hold on. You got Marvis Parrish, you got Road Dogg, you got Smoke, you got Aiden Seafer, you got Waffle House, you got the big man Grant Lasky. You got all this talent out there, man. You ain't no excuse for it. There's just none.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the White Oak Investment comment line. Let's see what you guys are talking about over here. Earl Carter says, most definitely, he used to say defense wins championships and offense sells tickets. That's probably still true at the high school level. At the college level, you got to have a lot of offense. At the college level, I'm pretty convinced that offense wins games nowadays or championships. But at the high school level, it's still defense, I think. Michael Broadwater says, I'll take Lowndes against anyone in the Palace. Hey, Broadwater, I'm right there with you, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, Broadwater, the answer is yes. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We have lunch together just about every Friday. David Griffith says, you can play a school that has the name, but the school they have played don't have the players to match up. Okay, that's a pretty interesting opinion. John Carroll says the fear of coming to the Concrete Palace all starts with the band. Just look at how they used to play and get the fans worked up. Yeah, band's a big part of what we do there at Lowndes. Now, it did surprise me, though. I got to tell you, it did surprise me how quickly the Rock Creek coach last week complained about the band.
Oh, no. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. That was not the Rock Creek coach.
Okay.
No, that was the head official. Yes.
No, I gotta disagree with you there.
I was looking for it when they started playing right there at the beginning. I was looking for it. I never saw the Rock Creek coach say a word.
Yeah, I
did. I saw the head official blow his whistle and walk and start going to Coach Carter.
Yeah, the official is usually not going to do that on his own. I think I did see the coach over there complaining about that.
Well, look at these out of state coaches doing their research. Give them a pat
I
on the
know,
back.
right?
Give them a cookie and an attaboy.
I would not be surprised if there were other coaches out there sharing that information amongst each other. I don't blame them. I don't blame
They
them.
better.
Yep.
They better, because this. Hey, but go ahead. Pick on that 12th man if you want to. We got about 300 student section over there that gets as loud as they do, and we got about 5,000 fans that can get even louder.
Yeah. So Michael Broadwater says the quarterback complained. That's who he says.
Oh my God. Don't plan to play at the next level then, my guy. Much love,
Absolutely.
but don't plan to play at the next level.
Listen, I think last Friday night was it was a first night game of the year. Really first time the band was allowed to strut their stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good tune up for everybody. Tomorrow night, I think the Palace is going to be rocking.
Look, and I'm all for a change to the GHSA rules that says the band can play all they want to play.
They ain't going to do that.
Hey, I'm all for it.
There's only maybe a handful of schools in the state, if that many, that has the size band that we do. I mean, that's a real weapon.
That sounds like a them problem, not an us problem.
I hear you, man. I'm just telling you.
When
When you're only one vote at the GHSA, they ain't going to change that rule.
I'm just saying. Sounded good, though.
Now, David Behringer asked an interesting question. Is the band smaller this year? In number, David, yes. Now, there is a reason for that. You got to remember, going back a couple of years when COVID hit, COVID had a real effect on the kids at the middle school level in the band. So when those kids got to the high school level, then a lot of those kids missed out on middle school band. So as a result, we're starting to see that effect of COVID in the band numbers start to crop up this year. Now, we are expecting that number to go back up next year, and then the year after that is going to go up in big numbers. So I think we're around 330, 340 this year, something like that. So to answer your question, yeah, it is smaller.
And still the baddest band in the land.
Still the baddest ass band in the land. So anyway, all right. So East Coweta tomorrow night, just to wrap this thing up, because we're approaching 8:30 and I'm tired of being on the road. I'm hungry. I'm ready for another Diet Mountain Dew because I'm exhausted. I just need a little bit of extra pick me up before bed tonight. So anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. Behringer, what are you talking about, Shane?
Oh, Lord.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey, don't forget.
I got hecklers, man. I got hecklers.
Whoa. Time out.
Yeah.
Don't forget to do the drawing for the T-shirts.
Man, I'm glad you said that.
Look at me being a good co-host.
Look at you being a good co-host. Check this out. Okay.
I knew you'd forget.
All right, guys. Just as Chase reminded, if Behringer, you're right. I shouldn't have said. I did say a bad word, and my apologies. I pride myself on not doing that. So, guys, I'm about to queue up the drawing for the 2 T-shirts. If this is your last chance, if you want to enter your chance to win, go ahead and do that right now in the White Oak Investment comment line. Just type in the comments, #OneLounge. Look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That's the way you should do it right there. No spaces, no nothing. Just #OneLounge. I'm going to go ahead and queue that up. Okay, so here we go. So good luck to everybody. Congratulations, David Behringer. Look at Behringer walking off the field with 2 T-shirts. So, David, I will contact you after the show is over via Facebook Messenger. Congratulations, David Behringer. I have you 2 T-shirts. I'm going to contact you, David, asking you your size. We are limited in the extra larges, so just tell you that up front. We're trying to get more in our supply, but right now we have what we have, right? So if you can't use the largest, maybe you can pass them on to someone else. But I'll reach out to you, work out those types of details, and I will meet you somewhere at the stadium tomorrow night to hand you your T-shirts. Somebody else Shannon Tabor, I still have your shirt because we couldn't connect last week at the stadium, so I'll have your shirt at the stadium tomorrow night as well.
Question. Did
Yeah.
you ever get James Andrews his shirt?
I don't know. That was last year, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Why don't you reach out to him and check? And if I have it, shoot me a text and I'll bring that shirt tomorrow night. Man, by the end of the season, I'm gonna spend a fortune in shirts. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
We need to find a shirt. We need to find a shirt sponsor and a shirt supplier.
Absolutely. There you go. Right there. I love the way you think. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for tomorrow. That's going to wrap it up for tonight's show. So, as always, may God bless you guys. Hope you have a great time this weekend. If you get a chance, please, on Sunday, just go to church. That's where you need to be. I'm right on that. Just agree with me. So, God bless you guys. See you guys at the stadium tomorrow night. And as always, go Vikings.